Today we're going to talk about how you can create your own piece of pop art. Not Funko Pop, pop art. Although that would be a good idea.
Pop is short for popular, so pop art is about nostalgia for mass-produced images or items. Many pop artists look back to their childhood for inspiration. Today, I'll be looking at Lego Batman. We're going to start with a quick sketch to decide how we want our final image to look. Now I'm going to draw Batman on a small square sheet of paper because I'm going to use this to then repeat over and over. I do want to take my time to make sure this first image looks pretty good because I'll use this as my basis for all of the other Batman images. Tracing with a Sharpie is crucial for a future step. Now I'm going to think about my background. So since I'm drawing Lego Batman, what type of background would make sense for Lego? I'm going to draw a series of Lego pieces with all of the studs. That's why I'm drawing all these little squares, is I'm going to put the circle stud on top of each of the intersection points. This will take a while for me to do this, but that's okay because I get to use this image 4 times for my 4 squares on the final piece. So all this time on the front end is totally worth it. Now I'm prepping my large paper. I'm using a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And I'm tracing it out, measuring to make sure each square is exactly the same size. If you try to trace, it's very difficult. You can't see through the paper because I'm using thick drawing paper. But here's an idea. Take a light of any kind and a plastic box. And there you go, instant light table. Another good solution is to go to a window and use sunlight as your light box. This will take a while to do all the tracing, but because we drew Batman on the small sheet of paper 1 time nicely, we can trace it 4 times and this will look very, very similar. If you had to draw Batman 4 times, it probably wouldn't look the same in every square. And I've gone ahead and traced the background too. I'm going to go ahead and trace with Sharpie before I add any color. Take your time on these steps. You want the images to look as similar as possible, and if you rush it too quickly, you're going to have variations that you do not want. Now I'm going to use the original photo to try and get the shading similar to the original image. Now in every square, I want to color Batman's head a different color. You can do whatever colors you want, and sometimes people want to use the same colors, but I chose for a more fun look by having a variety of different colors that might not be typically seen in a Batman cowl. Every square I'm still trying to shade the same way as I did on the first square, with the highlights and shadows. This will also make your image look a little bit more three-dimensional and more like the original toy, which is what we were talking about previously. The repetition in pop art is a visual and symbolic representation of mass production. We as Americans are particularly interested in the nostalgic connection to mass-produced items. Now I'm going back and layering colors to make my colors more complex and my shadows pop a little bit more. Time for tracing the background to make sure all of those details from the Lego pieces are consistent. I intentionally colored the background with the same colors in all 4 squares. Even though the arrangement is different, the 5 colors I used are all the same. This is my tip and this is my trick. If you want to blend your colored pencils, color like normal and then go back on top with a white colored pencil and your colors will get smoother. Do you have a childhood nostalgia for a mass-produced item? I look forward to seeing your examples of pop art.
If you like today's video, go ahead and click on this one too. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Create Art with Chris right here.